Hello, I'm Steve Olson, the Manager of Training Services for Mesa. In this video, I'd like to share the machine simulation preview functionality that was recently added to Fusion 360. So first of all, this is a preview function, so it's not enabled by default. It might still be a little bit buggy. Again, this is typical for certain functions in Fusion where they'll release it as a preview functionality that you have to enable, and then eventually it will graduate to being fully part of the product. So how do we enable this preview feature? So I'm going to go up here to my preferences, and under my little avatar there, under preferences. And that will open up the preferences dialog box. And down here at the bottom is preview features. And if you haven't really looked through this before, there's some really cool functionality. Again, it's still preview, so they're still working some bugs out of it. There is a nice little filter here at the top that you can filter by workspace. I'm going to go to the manufacturer one, and I'm going to scroll down, and there is the machine simulation preview. I've enabled that. This also goes hand in hand with the machine builder. So certain machines in the machine library are going to already be simulation ready. Certain ones will not be. So you'll have to run through this machine builder to make it simulation ready. I'm going to pull on one here in a demonstration in just a moment that already was pre-built. So I've enabled the machine builder. I haven't really tried it out yet. That's something hopefully I'll get into here in the future. One other thing I will point out is if you are an InventorCam user and you're like, hey, I'd really like to see how this works, there is another preview feature here that will enable you to import your InventorCam data when you import a Fusion model. So you technically could do all your programming in Inventor, bring that model over to Fusion, bring that InventorCam data in, and then actually the Fusion manufacturing workspace would be able to read that too. So I wanted to point that one out as well. I'm conscientious of trying to, the Fusion users versus the people using Inventor, and not leaving the Inventor users out whenever that doesn't have to be the case. All right, so just to kind of demonstrate how this works, I've got a little model here. I put it in a vise. I don't always put my products in vices, but when you do the machine simulation here, you do want to see that because it gives you the more complete picture of what's going to happen. So I've already set that up. I'm going to go into my manufacturer workspace. I've already done the programming here. You can already see the machine sitting here. I used the Haas UMC 750. The reason I picked that one is I was just recently working with a customer. That was the machine they had, and they actually asked about this functionality. It wasn't released in preview function at that time, but I quickly emailed them saying, hey, this is now available, just so you know that you could do that. So step one is in my setup. I want to edit my setup here, not create a new one. So I want to edit my setup. I do need to pick a machine. I did pick the Haas UMC 750. In your filters over here on the side, you can see there is simulation ready. Check that box, and then when you look through the library, if I look through the Fusion 360 library here, I've enabled the simulation ready. They've got their generic ones already set up. There's several Haas's, and there's a couple other manufacturers in there. So you can see there's already a handful, or actually more than a handful. There's a decent bit that are already set up simulation ready for you. So that was step one. And then basically I just created the toolpath like I did normally. On this one here, I created this part so it'd have these slanted faces, so I could use basically the fifth axis functionality to kind of get the bed to tilt so you can see how that works. So let me kind of get to a decent orientation here. And if I then play my simulation or simulate this setup, kind of get oriented around here, so I'll play this. So it's going to do that facing operation I programmed, and then it will tilt the bed so it can do those other two facing operations. So it's not like it's completely, it's just jumping to that orientation. It's not seeing those turns, but we are seeing it in the context of that machine, which is going to be very helpful. Again, this is a preview functionality. We might see more things added on as time goes by, but this does give us the ability to kind of at least get a better idea of what's going to happen in the machine. We get to see the simulation in the context of the machine, which is incredibly helpful. Well, that's all for now. Hopefully you found this information helpful and something you can apply in the near future. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to email me at my email address there on the screen. And as always, thanks for watching.